What up, what up, what up? All around the world for the funk, y'all. Funk from the front seat in the party. Live on the grind, TJ. You know how we bringing it hard today. My true funk soldier, my brother, Shit Dig from DD is in the house. Well, we're going to start with Massachusetts. Everybody up top, clap your hands like this. New York City, I miss you, man. Clap your hands. Clap your fingers, Long Island. Make sure, my hometown. Staten Island, Charlotte. Woo! Funk from the front seat. 900 Grind TV. Shit Dig is with us today, y'all. We'll be beaming in shortly. Georgia, heard? Ohio, what's up, Brenda? What's up, Boosie? Funk from the front seat. What's up, C? I love you, boo. Nothing but the funk. If you fake the funk, your nose will grow. Oh, we're gonna hit it hard today with these pseudo bullshit funk bands. Fuck them. Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, what up? Georgia, Bunker, in Texas. I got you, bro. You'll be a guest host all the month of May. We doing the guest spot. So I can get out of here. Tony Cam, West Virginia. I'm proud of you, bro. I saw you on TV. Good Morning America. That's what's up. Good for you. Maryland, Baltimore, I got you. P-Funk Radio, Dave up in Detroit. Hold it down for me, brother. You may see me soon. Coming on with little Herbie Hancock. Most of y'all don't even know it was his birthday. Yeah, it was. A couple of days ago. Stay up on it, you know. Be real with it. Don't fake the funk on your nose, bro. My producer today, Mr. Mark Lee. I told him I was coming in hot, because I'm pissed off. Shit Dig is in the house today, y'all. Georgia, where you at? North and South Carolina. Stop faking the funk. Dr. Philly, Philadelphia. Funk from the front seat. Up in funky Philly. Virginia, I love you, fam. I'm coming in hot, y'all. You don't like the effect, don't produce the cause. Y'all made this. Now y'all gotta deal with it. Atlanta, Georgia, where you at? Florida, where you at? New Orleans, Norfolk, where you at? Oklahoma, what up? Utah, Chicago, where you at? Canada, Dubai. I'm all around the world today for the funk. California, yeah. What's up, Mr. Taylor? Loving your success out there, brother. I see you jamming. Good for you. Somebody love your shit out there. That's what's up. We support all funketeers around the world. I'm a club funketeer ambassador, Boosie Patty Collins, y'all, the vice president. So I'm gonna fight to my last breath to support and keep the funk alive. I'm coming in real high. I see my boy Jet B did from his mothership over in Massachusetts. We'll get him in a minute. Shindig, one of the true funk soldiers, a pioneer of music. You know how we roll. We take care of each other. With my man Georgia from the Division, Texas. Be there, brother. Hawaii, Tokyo, I'm Young High Say Yo. Samoan, doing the Humpty Hump. Humpty Hump. China, Japan, Africa, Elizabethan Island. Love you, sweetheart. Germany, Candy Soul Sister, what up? Carmen and Wendy in Australia. Y'all stay cool, alright, mate? DJ Cocolino in Italy, man. Thank you for playing my shit. DJ Monica Sweet, thank you for playing my shit. You feel me? Ukraine. Damn it. Russia, what up? Colombia, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, boom. Oh, I'm coming in hot, y'all. I told you. If you don't like your set, don't produce the board. My producer, Mr. Markley, today. He may have to come over here and hold me down. What up, shit, dig? I see you back there. You in it? You in it? You in it? There you go. Woo! Herbie Hancock's birthday, y'all. So today, I want you to play some Herbie, all right? And I want you to play some Shit Dig. Now, y'all check that out. Oh, yeah. Nothing but a party right here. Come from the front seat. 9 on the Grind TV. Every Saturday, 12 p.m. Peru, Iraq, Iran. Puerto Rico. Funk from the front seat, man. All around the world for the funk. We gonna hit you with the one and then. If you like, hit me again. Because we love to funk you up. Y'all feeling me? Yeah, man. So check this out, right? We got a brother on today, man. Brother, he's a funk pioneer, man, from New York City. Same streets, spill the same funk in the same mud with this brother. Many, many years. I'm proud to say he's my family. I honor him, support everything that he does because he's one of the true funk soldiers on the front line, staying true to his dreams, keeping the funk alive. And that's what this show is going to be about. Promoting his music, talking about his music, talking about his thing. We need y'all to get in and stay active on the chat lines. And I want y'all to dig deep on this one, all right? Right now, without further ado, my main man, Shit Dig, is all up in the front seat, bro. What up, what up, what up?
So good to be here, man. So good to be here. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got you, bro.
Okay, cool.
It's a blessing, man. It's a blessing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
Well,
I'm coming in hot today. I'm sorry.
I know. It's cool. It's cool.
I can't help it.
This is the way to do it. It relaxes me as it does. It needs to. It's early in the day, but hey.
Hey, hold on. It's happy. Here's to you. Hold on. Put that cup back up there. Cheers. It's happy hour somewhere. Clink.
Yes,
there you go.
Sir.
So, man, how are you and your beautiful family doing?
The family is good, thank God. Everybody's healthy, everybody's well. The kids get good report cards, and that is what's most important to me, that they're behaving themselves in school. They somewhat behave themselves at home, but, a little bit of 20th century upbringing with the 21st century, they can't get too loose. You know what I mean?
You know, right?
So
I love it. I love it.
They there's no contact in our house, but there's definitely voices raised.
Oh yeah, as it should be.
And lines drawn, So it's a different way of upbringing from the way we were brought up, but nonetheless, I hear my father's voice in my head, and I pretty much exercise the same thing. And I think with your kids, communication, and that's probably even worse for them to sit down and hear you, convey a monologue to them about what is right and what is wrong, and to look me in the eye and make sure you're listening, and it's like being store for millions of these kinds of talks, because it's not going to be said that I didn't communicate with you, and especially where my daughter is concerned, it's so important for me and her to have a great relationship, a close relationship.
Amen.
And, and that she doesn't feel like I've been distant or absent in any way.
Amen.
I mean, I've learned so much from women that I've had as friends, platonically or otherwise, and heard their stories. And I swore I want to be that father that connects with his daughter and is there for her and listens, yet brings her up to be a lady and to trust me. I want her to trust me, you know. And I don't believe in trying to exercise a whole bunch of control over her, but just enough that she knows that, listen, you
Yeah.
cannot step over bounds with people, period.
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
And I'm glad you said that because I think it's super important for men to be in their daughters' lives.
it's so good.
Right now, me and my daughters are not where we should be, but I know that's going to change soon. But
Yeah.
I respect that because we don't talk about this shit enough. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Yeah.
see, we got to look at the tribal aspect of how we're doing society again. Everybody wants to be an individual. Everybody wants to be Superman or Superwoman. Everybody wants to get
Exactly.
out there and think that they could do it all on their own. But the world was built with tribes. The world was built with people helping people. The world was
Yeah.
built with people depending on people. You
Mhm.
know, and I think that being in your daughter's lives is noble, and kudos to you for being a real father and being a dad because that's important because they don't give us enough credit. So, bro, I salute you for that as
I'll
well.
tell you, and I'll tell you something. I think what is good for me is that I had kids, later on in my life. So, but if I'd
Same.
had children when I was much younger, I wouldn't have had the head for it. I wouldn't know what to convey to them because I thought I knew, but I only knew the way I was brought up. And the chances are I would have um, exercised that, I would have passed that on. But I think after learning so much about myself through really close friends and witnessing a lot of behavior from people in New York, and not just specifically New York, but because New York just has an array of variables that you can just look like and say, you learn something from everyone, you know. So now I'm at a point in my life, or have been at a point in my life, where I think that I could bring something better to my kids than just somebody who's a recipient of his own upbringing,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense because right now the opportunity to really embrace children are at an all-time high, whereas you and I weren't afforded that. And I
Yep.
think in some ways we missed out on the therapeutic part of understanding life, but we were ahead of the curve on the organic spiritual side. And, and
Exactly.
and and I think somehow we need to bridge the two because there's a place for therapeutics, but there's also a place for Mother Earth. There's a place for the crystals. There's a place
Yes,
for the
sir.
spirit, and a lot of these kids are missing that. That is why they don't value life because
It's
they're
yeah,
missing the spiritual side that says, "Hey, if I pull this trigger, I'm taking away a spirit." They don't see
yeah,
the earth suit as a spirit. They
yeah.
see it as some kind of piece of meat that
Hmm.
just needs to be eliminated. If we could get these kids to understand there's a living soul spirit inside of
Yeah.
us, you're killing that.
Hmm.
You're not necessarily killing the outer, but you're killing the spirit. Then we might be able to do something because I got two pet peeves: homelessness, well, three: homelessness and gun violence.
Yeah.
And my other one,
Absolutely.
of course, is the lack of funk. But
Hmm.
when I hear these stories coming from you and a gentleman like you, and hear this, it does my heart good because I know, people will hear this, and if one person hears this and changes their ways, that's what's up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what's up. So,
It's
yo,
it's
man. So,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, no. I was just going to say that, being able to experience the 20th century and then the kind of rapid or drastic change of the 21st century, it gives you a witness into what we were uh, um, what we had to experience and what kids are exposed to today. Like my daughter wants a phone. She thinks that because her friends have one, she should have one, or she should dress a certain way. And I'm sure my son is going to follow suit. But my mentality is like, you have to show me that you can be responsible, you can be about character, dignity, integrity, because there are a lot of things out there waiting for you and you don't understand. And it is
Amen.
my job to prevent you. So I, as a father, I have no problem saying no. Sometimes it's hard, but sometimes it's like, no, this is not it. You're 11 years old, and you have to remind them that your environment may make you think that you're older, but you're not. Right across the board, you're 11 years old, and you're not getting a phone.
Amen.
You
Good
know,
for you.
till you can show me that you can handle responsibility. That if somebody says go to this page, you can say to yourself, no, I'm not supposed to go to that page, because I shouldn't have to watch you all the time. So that's where I am at this
It
point.
comes. It's a trust factor, and you're right. And you know what? As a parent, every parent is going to do it differently. But I applaud the old school parents. I tell you right
Yeah,
now, because I done seen what new school parents have done, and I'm like, you know what? Nothing against y'all, but y'all were babies yourself. Ain't no way in
yeah,
hell you can raise a child. That's
yeah.
why they're
That's
walking
true.
around with their pants down by the ankles, and you won't tell them to pull them up because you're scared of them.
Exactly. And they're from a damaged era when crack
Yeah,
was
yeah.
across the board. And a lot of those kids are born out of that. And it's sad in a bigger picture.
Yes,
You
that's
know,
right.
it's
That's right.
it's the country's fault,
Yes, it is. Yes,
you
it is.
know, and they try to put it
Absolutely.
on the people, but it's like it's the country's
It's
fault.
absolutely. Yep.
It is the incessant targeting of a certain demographic that you just need to get up every day and say, let's figure out how we can take something from them that cuts at their spirit and cuts at their will and whittles it down, because it's hard enough for a normal individual to get up and perform through the day. Imagine when you target somebody and just let them go outside their door and realize there's nothing here for you,
That's right.
or
That's
or
right.
it's going to be a struggle,
That's right.
you know?
And to top it off, the cultural aspects of the good, the music, the style, the swag, you're gonna steal that first on the way out the door while you push
Yeah,
them out. Step on. Wait,
exactly.
we're gonna take your shit first, and then we're gonna still fuck with you and step
Yeah.
on you.
I'll
Yep.
tell you one little story before we go to another subject.
Hey man, do your thing,
I,
bro. We got
I,
time.
I remember this is one important lesson I always cited of what our politicians don't realize, that when you tell people they live in a land of freedom, but you surreptitiously do things to take away their freedom, they're going to find their own ways of freedom, not knowing that there's going to be a lot of consequence for it, because you're not giving them a normal way, so they're going to find an abnormal way. I remember one time
What's up, Jerome?
I'm sitting with my girlfriend um, in her apartment. We're watching, I don't know, Letterman or something, and her roommate comes in. Her roommate is crying. This is in New York, right? Immediately, oh my God, we're thinking she got robbed or something. She was whatever, something terrible happened to her, and we're like, what happened? And this is what she said to us. She said, every day I get, now this is from a woman's point of view, but this goes across the board. She said, every day I get up, I have to go out. And this was in the early 90s. So things were different. I'm walking down the street. I have construction workers, cat calling me and saying terrible things. And why don't I smile? And all these kind of things. And she said, I'm just sick of it. And what it translated to me is that this is what women go through, or I'm assuming they still do, but at once upon a time when this was so prevalent, before the talk of sexual harassment and everything, where guys would just mess with you
Yeah,
on the street,
yeah,
and
that's right.
and
That's right.
I realize that women get up with this fear of, what am I going to have to go through? How do I have to dress that doesn't attract this kind of behavior? And it's like nothing could be done. And this is what women go through. And I realize that even as Black people don't realize that we get up, a lot of Black people, most Black people get up with a fear. Can I get through this day without some incident that is going to ruin my week or scar me for life?
Say that shit again, because people need to understand what it's like to put on a brown skin suit and walk out the fucking door.
Yep. Is that they don't realize what Black people, I'm not saying people of color, Black people have to get up and think about, what do I have to go through today? Is somebody going to call me a name that is devastating? Is somebody going to is somebody going to show some kind of subtle way of not letting me do such and such? And then if you can't prove it, you still have to live with the possibility
That's
that
right.
it was, you know?
It scars you. It's post-traumatic stress disorder from a whole nother point of view, in addition to the PTSD we have from COVID, the PTSD we have from civil rights, the PTSD we have from watching leaders getting slain, the same time watching homeless 10 people live over here under the bridge by the hundreds now.
Yeah.
It was 10 or 20, now it's by the hundreds, and I got LeBron James making $300 million to shoot a basketball.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
And the thing is that with the invention of the cell phone, which personally, and I think a lot of my close friends do, we think that that's the black man's gift, because it has witnessed so many things that could have gone another way.
That's right.
You know,
That's
and
right.
people have a tendency to think that this is the first, that this all is recent. This has been going on forever, consistently. And when you didn't have cameras, let's think about how many stories were turned inside out. You know, it's
yeah, man.
This is where we are.
It's funny because this business that we're in, and today we're hanging with Shindig Man, my good friend, my funk brother, True Funk Soldier, going to tell it exactly like it is, because we speak the truth on the show, Funk Fun and Front Seat.
Yes,
my
sir.
great producer back there, Mr. Mark Lee. We're coming up on almost a year, 3 years rather. May will be our 3-year anniversary. We're going to tell you a little bit about that later, but you know, he's a great producer, and Mark's going to jump in because I know he wants a piece of this subject later on. But when it comes down to what you just said about you know, how we have to get out into the world, it is hard enough, and then it's twice as hard when you got to always look over your shoulder. You don't know when, but like Chris Rock said in this thing, I know racism is coming somewhere today. I don't know how I'm gonna see it, I don't know how I'm gonna feel it, but I know that shit is coming. And it fucks with you. It really does. See, now translating this to where we are in the music game, I view funk as the black people of music.
Absolutely.
I'm serious. It's like I see every day, bro, and I'm gonna let you dig deep on this. I see so much out here. I have some serious decisions to make at the end of this season. But go ahead, bro. Go ahead, man.
Well, you know, it's the first thing that comes to mind. My first impression of it is that we're going through, or we have been going through, a serious musical depression, akin to what happened in the late 20s and 30s, but for musicians. In all the time that I've been playing music, I never felt, I probably could only cite maybe twice where a club owner wanted to enthusiastically pay us because we were good. Other times, always trying to cut corners. You never feel like you're going in there. You have your musicians to pay and everything, and a lot of times you have to ask for favors. And thank God you have friends that can do so. You know, you pay for their gas or whatever, but the funds are low because people won't pay, you know, and it's always a struggle. And then we look, you know, we do it because we think at the end of the road, our goal is the record company, and then we get the advance, and we get this, and then we get that. But then people get into that arena only to find out that it is just as cruel a world as anything, because they approach you to record, but they're going to want your publishing, and you have to pay the money back. There's something wrong, very wrong with that system.
Amen.
If you're getting royalties, pay yourself back through the royalties and let me get my money.
Amen.
Why am I waiting till you're covered? You know, who has time to chase you for your books and to pay a lawyer to find out what's going on? It seems like it could just be a really simple transaction. All right, you want 50% of my royalties? Fine. That means that your costs for the studio, you're getting back from your royalties. Music that we created, or collaboratively, however you want to call it. But if you're getting part of what I'm earning, then that's where you take just as long to get paid back as I do. but you should not be getting my publishing, and my publishing has to go to you to pay off expenses that, you understand what I mean? It comes down to the master tapes and everything. There's something wrong with
Yeah.
the delivery of or the, you know.
And the amount of and again, we're hanging out with Shindig Man of Dig Deep. We're gonna be talking about this new track coming up, as well as we're kicking it here about some serious facts about the game, life, and everything else. It's organic. Please stay active on the chat line. All you guys out there, thank you so much for your comments. Keep them coming in because that adds to the conversation. My producer, Mr. Markley, back there, he's gonna be with us in a little bit too. But the thing is, when we look at as independent artists that are fighting that system, that very same system that is set up to rob us, they make it so you get robbed on that side, then you're going to turn around and get robbed. Because if you're not down with the Live Nations and the iHearts and all this other bullshit that has taken control completely and soaked up and bought out every venue in the name of funk and not have any funk bands on the show, you have committed a heinous act against the universe, and you should be punished to the full maximum, however the universe is going to punish you. You should be able to go deaf, because you should not be allowed to listen to any music if you're not letting the real music get through. And this is the problem we all have to deal with as independent artists. And then we try to fight that wall through Warner Brothers, whoever, whatever major record companies, and you're going to get jerked there too. They are, and funk, forget about it. It's like, forget it. So they have set this thing up to where either they just want no representation of talent at all, and just click, 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 click. Or they're killing it off slowly because they realize the new school of musician, I call them athlete, can't do it.
Here's the thing about funk, since you brought it up. I'm a funkster. You're a funkster. It is important for us to keep it alive. It's not a fad. It's a style.
Yes.
It's a style that had social commentary through it. It's a style that even artists back then who were soul R&B realized that we have to get into to be with the times. James Brown did not waste his time. Sly Stone did not, or Sly and the Family Stone didn't waste their time, and neither did Parliament. These are the three figureheads of funk.
That's right.
They took something out of nowhere and is like, what the hell is this? They are our part of our
Mount Rushmore.
Thank you.
I know where you at, bro.
Right. And it needs to be treated with the same importance, and we have to treat it with the same importance as jazz or classical or whatever, because music developments have been made during funk. Slapping a string is just not pulling the string out here and letting it go. There's a way to hit it that you get a certain punch or convey a certain kind of emotion. It's not splatula, splatula, splatula. And Bootsy will show you that. All the greats, Larry will show you that. They all brought something to the table, and it deserves to stay. Now, what I think will cause funk to remain alive is the content. Nothing is old about what is happening right now.
That's right.
You can write about girls and sleep with you and all day long. That never goes out of style. But there are other things that matter, and this is where, like, the people that we grew up with, like Gamble and Huff. Gamble and Huff made their money, but they made it citing that there is a message in the music. And that just wasn't a marketing thing. It really was key. People at Motown realized that they had to change what they were saying about. Ball of Confusion is still relevant to this day.
That song is dope, man. I love it. I'm gonna put it in my set soon.
I'm telling you, it's content, and I think we've become really frivolous and superficial about the things, whether we think that that's a way to get where we need to go, but we cannot be afraid to write like the Smokey Robinsons or the Dylans or the Laura Neros, or, I cite the 60s of social commentary as one of the best decades to come out and say, this is wrong. And this is what we are fighting for.
And you are, and we're going to continue on this subject. We're hanging out with Shindig today, Funk from the Front Seat, 9 on the Grind TV. You are absolutely right, because I feel the exact same way. I feel as an artist, I have a voice.
Yeah.
So whatever I'm putting in my set, it's to educate and it's to let people know, hey, I open up with Prince. We're living in the days of wild.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My song, United We Stand,
Damn.
bringing people together. Yeah. It's what I do, it's what I am for the common working man. And spiritual purpose, revolution. I've always thought, as an artist, you're supposed to represent the times.
Yes.
I never felt any different. Now, I get it. I got songs, Funkin' or the Egg, still has a meaning, but, it's a party song. I got party songs. But I always felt that I had to mix the two, because I didn't feel comfortable on stage unless I was singing about something that actually mattered.
Exactly.
This is why I hated doing pop bands. Nothing against them, but I despised them, because I ain't really saying shit tonight. But hey, beat it. Michael Jackson, love Mike, but if you're not doing his deep shit, then what's the point?
Exactly.
And I love this topic, man. We're going to get into your music on the other side, but we're hanging out today. What you're saying is very important, man, and I just wanted to add that. But please continue.
Oh, so it's and I'll say this, and I hope I don't come across as somebody who's trying to come down on any style of music. But when you're sitting in the pew, if you have a problem with the preacher, you got to find some way to say something. Hip hop, which I thought had every opportunity to be the news venue for what is going on in the in the larger community. Mm-hmm. It either lost its way, or it reestablished the groove. Whatever funk was losing or fading on at the time, hip hop came along and said, here's the groove again. They brought the drums up, they brought the bass, whether they had the sampler, whatever it was, but it was working. But on top of that, we needed 10,000 Public Enemies.
Yeah, we did.
Yes,
we do. Yep.
The bitches and the pimps and all that kind of stuff. It's all I can say. It's not working. It's not even a reflection. What it is an encouragement to do things that we are not about. We've been through too much to think that we can enjoy or even want to enjoy the same vile things that another culture who has all the freedoms in the world to enjoy. It's not the same. And we shouldn't want that. Our history should show us that we have more of a responsibility to ourselves. We need to take honesty within ourselves seriously, integrity, dignity, discipline, character. You don't even have to go to church to get that.
Dude, you are today is really important, and I'm so glad you were able to do this show at the last minute, because I want to let people know you did, come on and say, hey, you're gonna do it. But I'm just gonna add this to what you're saying, man. The biggest trick the devil ever did was convincing people he didn't exist.
Yeah.
And it ain't about church. It's about the right and wrong of what the hell is happening
exactly.
in the world. Because we know when somebody's singing whatever and you hear it, and and the powers that be, the Illuminati, I don't care if y'all kill me, make the radio stations, the 5 people that run the world, 1%, say, listen, I want you to play this shit every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion, I want you to put this message out. All the songs are the same.
Yeah.
But they keep switching it up subliminally. So when people hear it that don't have a strong third eye, they get sucked in. I got to be a gangster. I got to be tough. I got to be this. I got to be that. When we were all sent down here on a mission to be divine. So the Illuminati, by taking out funk, by taking out the serious R&B stuff, the Stevie Wonders of the world, you know, by eliminating Michael Jackson, Prince, James Brown, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, by eliminating those people, you know, Dr. Setti, by eliminating these people, they maintain the control of the bigger picture that you mentioned earlier, which includes the music.
Hence what is happening in Florida.
Yep.
And there will always be a large group of people who want to erase that, because they realize that we live in one of the biggest crime scenes in the world, and they don't want to solve the cases because they know who the perpetrators are.
Yep.
You understand? So it's like, let's just cover that up. The crime scene is closed. Let's move along. There are a lot of open cases in this country. Trillions.
Dude.
And we have to see the importance in our own history. And our music and art has a lot to do with it.
Amen.
People don't realize that, listen, your voice, you don't have to be part of a large group of people marching down the street. The Dixie Chicks wrote something that the government shut them down.
Shut them down, didn't they? And they're white girls.
Yeah. So you have to think, does my music matter to me enough to be shut down because I'm saying something that is beneficial for the country? I'm just not spewing stuff or coming out there with my own thoughts that we are actually saying. I can't get a meeting with you at the White House or whatever, but I have my own little office.
That's right. I got to
send it out there. And like they say in a lot of things, if you don't like it, then turn it off.
That's right.
But but it's there.
Hold that thought, because
Sure.
I wanted to give a shout out to Janet. Hello, Elizabeth, to say hi. How you doing, Elizabeth in Ireland? Dawn, how you doing, sweetie? I hope you feel better. Hope your surgery went well. And my man Curtis Wilcox, his art is right up there in the corner. He did my logo, Funk from the Front Seat. I love you, bro. Time for you to get back on so we can finish our talk. Because this 2023, with what we're trying to get through to people about our messages, about our gifts from the stars, about this music thing. Thank God brothers like Shindig is in the house, because I'm gonna help you fight this fight. Sometimes I almost feel like giving up, but then when I have somebody like you, I'm like, okay, if you're still in the trenches, I'll still stay in the trenches with you, no matter how fucked up it is. I'll stay in there with you. So I appreciate you for that, and the Tony Cams of the world, and you know, all the people that support what I do down this way. You know, Oak City Music Collective, of course. You know, but man, I'm telling you, this battle. And I was just telling Mark this morning. I said, bro, I got to think about shit come the end of the season, because the battle is a mental stress that I'm getting too old to handle. You know what I'm saying? And I just pray that whatever's going to happen, it happens soon, because it's really difficult. Mark, we got Keith ready. I love to hear my main man, Keith Jackson. Stay with us on the other side. Shindig's coming back, and we're going to really get into his music. Y'all going to get a chance to hear it. We ready, Mark? Let's go, bro.
Hey, this is Keith Jackson with P-Funk Radio, inviting you to check out my brother Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat. Saturdays, 12 noon on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It all happens on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube. Great guest, great conversation each and every Saturday. That's Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Robinson on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Check him out.
Hey there, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here. Just wanting.
That's my man Keith Jackson, P-Funk Radio.
All right.
Loving it. We got Chrissy Key Rollins. We got her set up, Mark.
Hey there, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here. Just wanting to give a shout out and say congratulations to my brother, Zach Robinson, who's been going 2 years strong, bringing you the funk from the front seat each and every week. Go check him out on 9 on the Grind TV and on YouTube, where each week he has amazing guests, powerful conversations, and of course, brings the funk like no other. Keep bringing the funk, my man, and congratulations again for hitting your 2-year mark. That's Funk from the Front Seat. Catch it live at 12 p.m. noon East Coast time, or the replays over on YouTube. And stay funky, my friends. Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rollins. Hey, it's
actually
Chrissy
not
Key
the
Rollins.
one, but Chrissy, that's all good.
Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you.
What you doing back there, Mark?
Hey, it's Chrissy Key Rollins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you to check out Zach Robinson with Funk in the Front Seat. He drops new episodes every Saturday at noon on the East Coast time, and replays are posted for whenever you miss a live stream. You can find him on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube, and get ready for the funk because he brings it every week, along with hot topics, amazing guests, and great conversations. Again, that's Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Go check them out.
You're going to be eating grapes twice. Sorry. I was really, really hungry this morning. I had nothing in my stomach. Let's get something from Joe Keys, my man Joe. I got it, Mark. I got it, bro.
This is Joe Keys of Joe Keys and the Late Bloomer Band. Just did a show with my man Zach. Number 9. That's right. Number 9's got it going on. Check out Funk from the Front Seat. Zach Robinson. Serious good vibrations, y'all. What we need. Peace.
He is doing some great things up at the festival coming up. I think in May up in Baltimore somewhere, man. So y'all check that out, man. It's going to be huge show. You know, if I'm not gigging, I'm gonna actually try to get up there and support that brother. But also JTRP, P-Funk Radio. Thank you guys for always playing our music. We support you. Gabe Gonzalez, Larry Funkster Jones, Bootsy and Patty, of course, up in Ohio. And Brenda, I love you. I'm going to make sure I call you today, Brenda. HJ Entertainment and K&N Jams and Oak City Music Collective. Love you guys. Tony Cam and the Funk All-Stars. Nappy at Funk Army. Afterglow 92416. Donna, I love you so much. And, you know, it's so going to be so cool to see you guys when we do the man drill thing. And a big shout out to Funko Drill Santiago, my hero and my mentor. And I've been blessed enough to be on his couple of tours that he's doing to close out an amazing, phenomenal career. Pat Dioria, Aquarius Rising Arts, Curtis Wilcox, of course, and George DeFuncovinci, all this artwork behind me. They're responsible for it, for helping build my brand and logos and things. And Dr. Brookenstein, I love you out of Philly. Dr. Brookenstein takes care of he takes care of all my shit. And I don't know where we would be without him. The unsung heroes behind the scenes, David Brooks, Dr. Brookenstein, Funky Philly, Philadelphia. The brother is so solid. If he bleeds, I bleed. DJ Coccolino, thank you in Italy. Elizabeth, thank you in Ireland. And DJ Monica, thank you in Sweden. DJ Tanny Soul Sister, thank you in Germany. I appreciate you. And always, the Funk Chronicles, Dayton, Ohio, David Webb, my brother. I've been fortunate enough to have an interview. I'm very proud of that I was interviewed by the Funk Hall of Fame. Not a lot of people can say that. And, you know, the fact that he has all the funk artists there, the pure funk artists in Dayton, Ohio, you know, people need to know, support, go to his site, the Funk Chronicles. We are back with my man, Shindig.
Yes, sir.
Whew, dig deep, man. So the name of this new track and the inspiration for it.
Yeah. Kind of like when there's nothing else to say. You know, it's just there's just nothing else to say sometimes, you know. And it is what it is. What is the thing though about this song is that what was most important about was who did it, because it was more, the song was more geared towards someone who could take their voice and treat it as an instrument and really solo. And that's why I want to bring up a dear friend of mine. We have been friends for probably a little over 15 years. I have so much respect for this woman. I mean, she is truly one of the best. I can easily and safely say this. She's one of the best vocalists in the world. There's nothing shortchanged about her. And her name is Alke Bulan, Alkebulan. She's one of the most phenomenal vocalists on it. And I thank God every day that she sang on it. You know, obviously, Na 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 doesn't show off any strength. But when it comes around to the solo and her doing her thing. That's what I wanted. This is what this song needed. It needed someone with a vocal that was as percussive as the instrumentation in it. It needed to be the vocal point. It needed to be the lyric. It was the main attraction, you know. And obviously, it's a dance song and everything, but you know, na na na, as she said, it could be like, you know, na 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 na, you know. And I don't want to give away too much of her life, but she has come to a point in her life where the last 3-4 years or beyond, an uncomfortable period for her has come to an end, and she's successful. She fought the good fight, and whatever was coming at her, pow, 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 swatted it. You know, she cried, she laughed, she did all these things, but she kept her music central. People like that, people like that with me, we're like forever friends. Even if we don't see each other, you're in here. And she has worked with me before. We've done things together. You know, we played gigs together. And when I first asked her to do it and I sent her the track, she immediately called me back and said, I'm doing it. So whatever she was busy with, she put it down and she did 4 passes for me. And I went and dropped it in. And I listened to the song because she's singing. You know, there are a lot of my friends like Jerome, who's on I think with us or has commented. I love Jerome's voice. I love his voice. I love his spirit. And he has performed a lot of things. And part of the great thing about listening to your own material is hearing the different people come in. You know, It's like, oh my God, it's just a treasure to hear them. And I'm just so thankful that they're a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have all the musicians that I've worked with over here. Another friend of mine, Tara Reynolds, is a brilliant violinist and songwriter. And again, she's on my material. And I am thankful. You know, it's like it would be great if Verdine White or Philip Bailey sang on my material. I would have the same reaction. But it's not even that less important. These people that I play with who are in my community, they're my heroes. They are fantastic. And not being signed is not a measurement of their greatness.
That's right.
You know? And I the one thing I loved about living in New York is feeling like I was a big part. I was a part of a bigger community. Even when I had my band, even with my band, The Trip, those guys will always remain with me.
Same
here.
Same with my guys.
You know, even if we don't talk or whatever, these are my heroes. When we were together, we were great.
Yeah.
And we vibed and we played, and you never forget what people do for you. Even if they say, come stay at my place because you're not feeling well or whatever. This is how we were as a band. And they're forever, you know.
That's right. I was telling, I mean to cut you off. We're hanging out with Shindig. We get ready to get into his thing. Sha na 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 na. There's beautiful ladies on it, and his bro Jerome is on it, and we're gonna chop that up. But I was telling my girl about the vibe is so different in New York when it came to our camaraderie as family musicians. You know, we never did not show up. Everybody always did the right thing. Everybody always knew the stuff. There was never any issues and bullshit like I got to deal with down here, man. I'm telling you, I got to deal with so much bullshit down here, bro. I'm telling you, like, I just get so overwhelmed on things that are just naturally, I'm just naturally used to just going right.
Yeah.
I never had to think about half this shit I got to deal with down there when it comes to music. But be that as it may, what you said is so important because when you have a lifelong bond and connection with artists that you work with, and you guys like, you know, can think the same thing without speaking. That's the gift of, I would say the creator wants us to try to spread, but everybody's not receptive to it. Like I've tried to do that here as much as possible. But if people aren't receptive to it, you almost become like, well, I'm working against my own best interest because I'm wasting time. And time is something that none of us have.
Exactly.
We don't have time to waste. So if you're listening and you're watching this show and you're down wherever you at across the country, around the world, man, just know that take your shit serious. If somebody's down with you and they offer you something or say, hey, do this or that or whatever, man, make it, do your best on it. Take it serious, because
Exactly.
it goes down in history. This is our record. This is my legacy. This is why I'm trying so hard not to screw it up. It's painful. I don't want my legacy to be, he just went out like that. You know what I'm saying?
And when you're in love with music like we are, it's a bittersweet thing, because there are times when, well, I'll just speak for myself. There are times when I wanted to chuck it.
Me too.
But it just came back into my lap. And at one point I had to just say to myself, and I'll use God as a reference. It doesn't matter what anybody else believes. That's what I believe. And I was like, God, if you keep throwing this back in front of me, then I'm just going to do it. But I'm going to do it without expectation and just for the simple love of it. And I can't be concerned of what reward may be up ahead. Something tells me that I'm supposed to do it regardless.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that we live in an age where the internet has become, or the internet is a vault. It's actually a pyramid for a lot of us. We store stuff in there, and maybe somebody will discover it, but it has to exist to change something.
It has to. Yep.
Get it out of here, put it out there, And it brings me back to an earlier point that I wanted to bring up when we were talking about people and kids who are doing a lot of stuff that's affecting everyone, including themselves. Each person has to realize that you may think you have an issue and you're angry and everything, but what you do just doesn't affect you or the person next to you. It reverberates. From the minute you come into this world, you are changing everyone's course, because now you're occupying a space. You know what I mean? You're in there now. So you're going to interact with people, and their life is going to go accustomed to, because you're there. If you weren't there, it probably would have been something different. But your presence changes the course of things. Even if it's that, you may not think it's a lot, but it is a lot. And it's the same way with music. When you don't put your music out there, okay, nothing happens really. Like, life just goes on. But you change things when you inject what it is that you do in there. Because somebody is going to hear it, and it's going to resonate, or it's going to sit back there. But it's going to exist. It's going to change something. It is not for us to know what kind of change it will be, but existence causes change.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put what might be feeling.
And let me just finish up. I just want to say that because of that, it is so important what you put out. You can put out something that is self-serving, and it can destroy a whole bunch of people.
Yep.
And then again, you can put out something that is life-affirming, really positive. It'll change lives, or whatever it may do. It'll affect things, but it's a different kind of effect.
Yeah. So you
have to decide which one.
That's right. That's right. And see, the thing too that I agree with you is that because you're trying so hard to put that little pebble into the stone that goes into the pyramid, right? Yeah. And the fact that we can now store for a life, whatever amount of time this planet will be here, information like that digitally, that's the positive side of it. Because, like you said, somebody may say, hey, who did this or whatever, or why they do it, whatever. So it may come up, but at least it's a way it to be stored. And that's one of the only things I see that where we are now in this game that we can take advantage of, because a lot of this stuff is stacked against us. Before we run your track, 30 years have affected the culture, 30 years of how everything on commercial now is hip hop, whatever, right? How do we survive? Before we run your track, I want to ask you a question. How do we survive as pure funk artists?
Well, I think, let me go back to what I said before. I think the content of what we're writing about is going to matter. I think it can, it could probably cause some kind of elevation. We can't be superficial about it. We can have fun with it, just like funk was fun back in the day. But we're at a point now where a lot of things matter. We're witnessing so much more. We just can't write about what's happening in our neighborhood. We have no choice. We're exposed to everything. You know, you can write about the Ukraine and the Russian situation and make it funky. You know what I mean? What message are you trying to? You know, the funk is in the attitude. The track can be funky, and you can just spew and you can do rap over funk. But it's an intangible attitude, you know. And I really think that when people are listening, you know, they hear the drums and the bass right away. It may take them 2 weeks to know what the lyrics are about. You know, I think songwriting has to be, or the art of songwriting has to still be a study. You know, when I think of the Burt Bacharachs and the Dosha Hollands and so on and so forth, that has to be part of the equation. You got to sit down with a song, and just like somebody's sculpting something and they take this little bit off, it requires work and attention. And the song needs to be built, because once you put it out there, it's like a comedian. When a comedian tells a joke, he's expecting people to laugh. He has to be that sure. And I think it's the same thing with us as musicians. We have to be sure. And that's how much we have to know our craft. Yeah. You know? But I think content has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And I think being a conscious artist like you, like myself, like people we know, it really is a double-edged sword, because when people come to a live show and experience a live show experience, they're getting a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, that particular venue, to see that live show and get that live experience, right?
Yeah.
And some of us are able to translate that and put it into our music. That's not easy to do, you know. But if you could do that, then people will be, wow, you know, I dig the track, so I'm going to see if they can pull it off live, and then you pull it off even better live. So it's like, okay, you have them doubly convinced that you're okay, this is hot, you know, whatever. I'll use my track, United We Stand, or your track, whatever, right? The thing that you know, the Black Lives Matter one, and the thing that you know, they get from it, right? They carry that for the rest of their life. Memorable experiences. The part that is screwed up is that, how do we monetize and make sure they remember whose shoulders, and I wrote this down specifically to say, whose shoulders are they standing on?
Right.
You know, like we know in our music, you'll hear Sly, Hendrix, P-Funk, Bootsy, you know, the Gap Band. You'll hear all the influences. So when you hear our music, you automatically know Mother's Finest, whose shoulders we're standing on.
Yeah.
These kids don't realize, if it wasn't for us bridging that gap over the past 25, 30 years, when it was going somewhere and then it stopped, and then all of the underground shit came through.
Yeah.
And that was us.
Yeah.
In every city, Chicago, New York, California, wherever you was.
Yeah.
That 25, 30 years, yo, you were standing on my shoulders.
Yeah.
You were standing on your shoulders. So when do we get that credit to say, hey, we kept this thing alive. Now y'all going to grab it and package funk a different kind of way and put it out there, throw it out there to the world and market it like it's something new. Yo, we was doing this shit for 25 years. Hello?
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. I thought of another answer to your question. We just got to keep doing it. You know, we got to give up the funk. We can't give up on the funk. We just got to keep
That's
it
a good way to
going.
Put it. Can't give up on the funk. I like that.
And just hope that it's somehow, because, I mean, things can change. Before maybe 1968 or 67, when Jimi Hendrix and Sly, and there was something happening in society that couldn't be ignored. So before you had about How Much I Love You and all these wonderful romantic songs that we still hold dear today. But somebody realized that I can't sing that anymore. They're beating people up in the streets. And then everybody felt a responsibility to do it. It had to start with one person, but then it spread. Then the Temptations were recording social songs, and Curtis, it couldn't be ignored.
Curtis Mayfield, my God, yeah, right?
You know what I mean?
Marvin Gaye,
So,
Marvin.
yeah. So all we can, Stevie, oh my God, Sly with There's a Riot Going On. You can feel that record. You can feel it. You don't even have to hear it. You can feel it. You know what I mean?
It's about that energy.
Yeah. So it's like where we're going. I think this is where content comes in. If it starts with one thing and somebody's going to catch on and say, yeah, you know what? I need to write about that too. I mean, it happened with hip hop, but unfortunately it got thwarted quickly.
Yeah,
by West Coast hip hop.
And it became a money well. And they said, listen, just keep putting out murder, rape, bitches, and hoes, and let's make a fortune. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
What we have to be is, should that happen in funk? Because funk is just as important as hip hop. It just didn't last as long, as far as popularity. But if it starts again, we have to open our eyes and realize when somebody's coming to the table and just trying to pretty much instigate, the Judas. You're here to cause a problem. And we have to say, you have to think about where you put money and you put art. That's an individual choice.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, it comes back to my point of one person, whatever it is you do, you may think that it's not affecting a whole bunch of people, but it is. So we just have to be conscious about, do you want a movement or you just want to move other people? It hasn't happened yet, but I would think that's the direction that we should go. And we just, if it seems like it's going somewhere, now you have to be wary of, like when you're going through a house of horrors, you look about what's going to pop out at you, and you got to keep going. Yeah. But you can't get entangled with those people because they'll bring you down.
Yeah, that's right. Let's run your track, man, because we sitting here chatting and I'm loving it, man. And we're going to hang out with you, man. So, Mark, you got that track queued up, bro? Let's run this track, man. And y'all sit back and bump this. And I need you guys to go purchase your copy today, at Indignation Music ASCAP, and go on his website. All his information is down here in the banner.
It's actually at Bandcamp.
At Bandcamp, yes.
They can find it at Bandcamp.
Yeah, right here, available at Bandcamp. Yep, check it out. You ready, Mark? Run that track. You're getting fined today, bro.
Give it up,
Heard it from front seat. Yo, that shit's gonna make motherfuckers get some elbow room. I'm gonna tell you right now. That shit make me want to push motherfuckers out the way.
Listen, before we go any further, I want to list all the people who played.
Oh, please do, by all means.
Some of these people came across and just said, don't worry about it. I'm doing it. So my dear friend Sean Dixon plays drums and percussion. Tom Swafford is on strings. Entrified McLeod is a man playing the organ solo. Entrified. Love him. Dear friend of mine, Alicia Vida Ortiz, background vocals. Daniel Sadonik plays congas, timbales. Want to give a shout out to him. My wife, who has taken up trumpet for 2 years, played trumpet on there and did some background vocals. John Franzosa, another friend of mine, played flute and saxophones. Lizette Aguilera did background vocals, a family friend. Jessica Flores, her wife, did background vocals. And my kids did noises, and so Ruby and Joaquin. I want to give a shout out to them. I did bass, guitars, keyboards, whatever else I could do. And last but certainly not least, the amazing, the incomparable, the great, the magnificent, the fantabulous Alkebulan on lead vocals, who just comes through. You know, these musicians, what I love about musicians like her and others, they sound committed because they are committed. I don't like side men or side people, you know, because it comes across. I like people who are into the music. You can hear it. Even in discussions, like you and me, I know you're all about music, Zach. You know, I would come to you and ask you to do something, and I know I would get it full-fledged. And that's what is so important in the music, is to feel that everyone is there, centered, present, and into the music. So I'm forever grateful to just these people as well. And put it this way, anyone who has known me in my life musically, I'm thanking you. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. You know, when I heard you sent me this track, right? You know, I think at the beginning of the week, and I put it on, right? I put on my headphones late at night because usually my day is so hectic. I can't get really a chance to really hear anything until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, right? And you know, I think the amount of hold on, something's messing with me here. Seriously. Hold on 1 second. I apologize. Yeah, Sir Nose tried to get in. But anyway, I think,
Mr. Lee,
the most
Mr. Lee.
important. Yeah, Sir No. Yo, he always tries. But the most important thing that I was listening to the track late at night, it made me want to get up and dance and get in it.
Good.
That's why I said I need some elbow room.
Right.
And see, another thing I was going to tell you, I know you and your music, and you always leave a little dig deep calling card in there. And when she went, you know what I'm getting ready to say. When she went to the scat part,
Yeah.
that's you digging deep. 'Cause I heard the shift, and I was like, oh, he's gonna give us a little bit of that. Because I always listen for that in your music. I was like, somewhere in there, he's gonna do that. And when you do that, that's when I know you're digging deep, bro. Let me tell you, you're such an inspiration, and I'm mesmerized a lot of times when I hear your music. Mr. Markley, my producer, I hope you got everybody muted over there, because
there's got folks over here trying to do drum
man.
classes and everything like that. So we got all kinds of things happening at the time. I'm gonna have to get folks to come over here and do some stuff over here at some point. But I did have some young drummers that were trying to get their drums on with their djembes and some of the other drums that they've got going, but they don't seem to be playing right now. And all in that space. But I had a question for both of you and Shindig, and it's based.
Well, first of all, how you doing, Mr. Lee?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good,
Glad to see you in the house. Glad to see your conversation and all in that space. But the question I had for both of you was, I was studying some history, and part of the history of blues had a similar storyline to the funk music, meaning that it was loved by a lot of folks, was supported by a lot of folks. The music industry got in there, kind of corrupted it and kind of took it away and everything. And then what kind of rebirthed the blues music was something called the folk revival. It was the folk revival kind of thing that happened in the 40s and 50s and definitely in the 60s, and that kind of rebirth and interest in blues. So my question is, because I know that there are some people, including some people in this room that we're talking about that are involved in this, is that what funk music needs? Does it need a revival tour and all in that space? Because I know there's some people in this room that have thought about that notion, but we can give it a rebirth. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that.
Let me say this. What we definitely need are more shows like what Mr. Robertson and you have. We need a lot more shows that are funk centered. That's the subject matter, like the way Mr. Marcellus keeps jazz alive. That's what we need to do. I was going to say something else. I forgot my point. But that's one of the first things. I forgot my point, but that's what I wanted. It'll come back to me. But we need shows like Zach's show, on your show to just keep the. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. The very same way when I remember I went to one of the first Black Rock Coalition meetings, and it was up in Harlem, and seeing the Black Rock Coalition made me realize the absence of blacks in the scene. How peppered it was. Eventually, it eventually kind of spread out. You know what I mean? And you got more in contact. But I think it's the same thing with funk. That if it builds some kind of really honest collective, it'll spread out and it can have a rebirth. Yeah. But it has to be a constant conversation just out of love. Whether it's talking about Verdine White, the way he vibrates on bass, just is as important as James Jamerson dropping down to the third to come back up, or the way Freddie Stone plays. I wanted to make a mural. I remember this is I haven't done it. I've been meaning to do it for like 15 years, but I wanted to make a mural of just funk guitars. Funk guitars. I see so many times when it comes to guitarists, they're white. That's not their fault, but it's who is the producer of that, that something put together. And Thomas McClary, Al McKay, Johnny Graham. These are guitarists who are just as important as any guitarist, and they're funk guitarists. and we need to collect them and put them together. The tons of horn players that we've had in funk, you know.
Tony
It just-
Maiden comes to mind too.
Tony Maiden.
My boy, Chaka Khan, all that shit.
You know, there's Andre Fisher on drums. They're all so important. You know.
No doubt
I
about
agree.
that.
I think.
But
Okay, go
no, I
ahead.
just want to. Did I answer your question?
No, that definitely answered the question and everything. The other thing that both you and
I was going to
Zach-
answer the question, Mark.
yes,
Thank you. I was going to say, in addition to this funk revival, what we have to do is get the promoters to understand this music is viable, because they wouldn't be able to put the Bruno Marses of the world on these shows if it wasn't for the funk artists. There'd be no
Right.
Bruno Mars. So you can't skip over us and be like, okay,
Yeah.
you guys created it and finished it, because we basically, Sly and all of them handed us the baton
Yeah.
in so many ways and said, okay, here's the blueprint. Like
Yeah.
DC and Georgia say, here's the blueprint. Now y'all go do it. But then you can't skip over motherfuckers that was still doing the same shit for 25 years, and now you're gonna repackage it. This is why I always get vexed, because
Yeah.
don't repackage me some shit and then tell me it's new shit. Don't do
Right.
that, because now you insulted my intelligence. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So if you want to say, hey, this is just what we're going to do, fine. But don't try to disguise it and make it what it ain't, because we all know what it ain't, and we all know what it is. And the tape don't lie. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
The
you know,
tape
to your
don't lie.
point, and I think this is what I was trying to say. I think I answered your question. Is that there are people like Bruno Mars and his
Gary Scheider.
producer Mark Ronson. They're people that will dip into the funk and dip out and still be popular because they can. And
Yes.
those of us who have to stay here because we want to be here are not successful, you know, because it gets forgotten. So, you know, whether it's a Casey and the Sunshine Band or Wild Cherry or whatever. And that's why I'm saying that shows like yours and the conversation about funk is what will keep it going.
Well, thank you, sir.
And I'm using the Black Rock Coalition as something that
Yeah.
has lasted long and has kept rock at the fore from a Black perspective because they existed and because they kept the conversation going to the point now where they just brought into the not the Smithsonian or the African American Museum.
Yeah.
You know, so it's going to take some time, but the road has to be filled with just pit stops of conversations about funk, just gathering and just talking about it, you know.
Yeah. And of course, you guys are really blowing up the chat line. I appreciate it. Tony May and Lance Dandridge, thank you. Jerome, thank you for comments. Dr. Brookenstein, thank you for comments. Gary Scheider, of course. Prince, you know, rhythm guitars. You know, like, you guys are all spot on out there. And we all know what it is and what it ain't. And I guess what we have to do is try to figure out a way to not get beat down by the negativity and continue to fight. But, you know, it's like when you're in a battle, and I'm a warrior, I'm an Anunnaki soldier, Vernon Reed, of course.
Yes.
You know, I'm a hybrid. So when you're in a battle, you still need supplies. No matter how much of a fight you can fight, how much energy you have, how much good material of funk in the funk war you have to perform, how good your band is, whatever. You still need supplies. And what I mean by that is you need funding. You know, the biggest thing that always I always ask for when it comes to funding is rehearsal time.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize you don't rehearse for free. So you have to spend just as much on rehearsal as you do to put on a show.
Yeah, exactly.
And people forget that. They think bands just show up and poof, it's magic. No, there's rehearsal time that go. They that's all they see. They buy the ticket, they go in, oh, they're there. No, motherfucker, we've been shedding for 2 months, trying to scrape up pennies to pay for rehearsal time.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that separates, you know, when you mentioned Mark Ronson, Bruno Mars, they have access to that.
Yeah.
They're no better or worse than we are, but they just have access. So what I'm saying is stop cutting off the access to independent artists. Give us the same access and you'll get an even better show because we had helped invent the shit and we know how to do it better.
Exactly.
You know? I feel like we're in the Negro leagues. They knew the Negro baseball players were better, but they didn't want to let them in.
Yeah.
They didn't want to let them in. Satchel Paige was throwing 100 miles an hour. Josh Gibson hitting balls out of Yankee Stadium and still couldn't get in the major leagues. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I always feel like about funk. I always feel like, well, damn, you know I exist. You hear it. I hear the music on commercials. Y'all are playing the shit. P-Funk Radio. Y'all know all about it. Y'all walk down the street singing Flashlight, but yet you won't let me in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Mark, that was an excellent question. I'm going to give you one last question for Shindig, and we got 10 minutes, and then we get ready to get up out the front seat and go pay some bills.
Yeah, I got to pay some bills as well and run some errands myself. But the other thing that both you and Zach mentioned earlier, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it, and this could probably be a whole music lesson, but I am a big fan of scat and that kind of sound and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you could just share a little bit for those that are listening that aren't as aware of the scat music sound, what that meant to your own musical journey. Because I, like I said, come from a jazz house in the sense that my parents had a jazz station. So I love scat, but not everybody knows what Al Jarreau and others were doing. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
You want to go first, Mr. Robeson?
Well, I was just going to say, if you go back to Cab Calloway, you go back to Louis Armstrong, you go back to, the early scat cats, they were the ones, you know, and then it became what it became when Al Jarreau got a hold to it. And we all know what the hell he did with it. And don't forget Bobby McFerrin as well. These people, they carried on the invention that Louis and Armstrong and them invented because they said, listen, we was running out of words for this jazz stuff. So we just had to make stuff up. Dizzy Gillespie said that. He said, man, I just started making stuff up. And then it became scat, But as the torch was passed to Al Jarreau and McFerrin and some of the other beautiful people like this lovely lady that does it and all the people that's doing it, that's the motion that has to keep it alive. And that's what we have to try to do with funk. And that's why I'm glad you put that on your music, because you infused something that started in the 20s and still made it relevant today. That's what makes you a genius when it comes to the music you make. So I'm just answering the question like I hear it.
Yeah. Well, I think scatting to me is fearlessness. It's hearing beyond your neighborhood. It really is for people who are not contained. Like a lot of musicians, let's say just for instance, coming up with melodies. There's a normal tendency to stay within a comfort range. So somebody might go da 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 da, and they'll sing that whole thing from the minor third to the minor seventh, and they'll stay there through the whole song, and it'll sound original, even if they change a key. It may sound different to the common crowd. Now, if they go beyond the it's fearlessness of just letting your voice just go wherever. And it helps if you listen to people like who play saxophone, from the bebop day, and you let yourself go. And it's not feeling that you have to go, but it's going. I remember hearing Bobby McFerrin. The first time I heard Bobby McFerrin, a lot of people know him for, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Exactly.
But I remember somebody turned me out to this thing where it sounded like he had lost his mind. And that told me that you can go somewhere else. It doesn't even have to be tonally correct. You just lose your shit. But all of that comes with fearlessness and not caring what somebody else thinks. It's not you trying to get them, you want them to understand what you're doing.
Yep. And I would be remiss And when we talk about scatting, if I didn't mention the great Felipe Wynn, because
Oh,
he didn't do it with the Spinners,
God.
but when he went and got with George Clinton and them, and people don't know, he was actually in the band called House Calls with Bootsy them back in the day too.
Yeah.
But Felipe Wynn, when he did that,
Yeah.
and when he in the middle of Knee Deep, George was like, "Listen, start scatting." You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And when he did all of that, people forget. That's what you did. Scat and put that scat in the funk. And Mark, that's kind of like what if you want to hear an answer to your question about it or comment, that scat stuff goes everywhere.
And you know, with
Make the
Mr. Wynn, Tom Bell knew that. Tom Bell knew that he was one of the greatest ad-libbers who had ever lived. So the scatting wasn't next to, you know, that we heard. Didn't hear it during the Spinners days, but all those ad-libs, they are to be treasured. They are close to scatting. They're just with lyrics.
Yep.
You know, it's one of the greatest, man. I mean, when he left the Spinners, Tom Bell knew he couldn't do anything else with the Spinners. That was the voice.
Yeah. Felipe Wynn, one of my favorite singers of all time, man. Mighty Love, you know, Rubber Band Man, but even his earlier stuff, you know, Sadie. I mean, damn, Sadie made me cry. That reminded me of my mother. I can't listen to Sadie. Sadie, Sweet Sadie, song Strong as Papa's Old Brandy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That brought he took me to places in that song that brought me right back to when I was 7 years old and my mother died. When I heard Sadie the first time, I was like, get this shit away from me. It was just so powerful. It's a powerful song, you know. But we got about
let me just say one thing. Let me just say one thing
take
to
your time.
Mark. Some of the best lessons I learned about like the freedom of music was going to jam sessions. Blues. Easy blues. You know what you have? You need to
That's Mark's lane.
Yeah, you need to take something really simple and do a lot with it. And you know, and you just get to try a lot of stuff. So most of my important musical lessons, scatting or whatever, were learned and taught to me in blues jam sessions.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
David Brooks said Scatologic Funk. I'm gonna write that down, Brooks, because that may be a song somewhere along the line.
Scatological Funk.
He said Scatologic Funk. I'm looking at it right now.
That sounds like the title of a song. You know, you be
Yo, sounds like one to me. You know, all you guys have been blowing up the chat line all day. Today's been a really, really fun show, man. And we're gonna come back with Shindig Part 2 in a couple of weeks, man, and talk to him some more. And I'd love to have that young lady on and any members that you want to bring on.
I will request her.
Can
yes.
we do? Yeah, I'll call you during the week and we set something up, man.
Okay.
This story can't be told all in one show. It has to be several shows to tell this story because it's an ongoing thing. Yeah, and I really appreciate your love and energy because, you know, you did something for me today that I kind of needed, you know. Mr. Mark Lee, I'm going to give you one last question for Dig, and then I'm going to give him the full screen and we get ready to get out of here.
No, definitely. Like I said, the last question will be, and it'll be a quick one, at least fairly quick. But you mentioned the blues, and the blues to me and funk are actually very much related and all in that space. But if you can just share your connection to both of those music, because to me they are very much cousins and all in that space. But I'd love to hear your take on it.
Well, blues, I learned in New York. I was in Florida before that. I grew up in Jamaica, knew nothing about the blues. New York was the place that taught me about the blues. I played with, I did jam sessions with the Holmes Brothers, with Frankie Paris, God rest his soul, and a few other people, you know, who were popular on the scene. Bobby Bell, Grant Green Jr., you know, and so on. When it came to funk was what got me out of my Jackson 5 period. And my older sister introduced me to the Ohio Players Fire album and Earth, Wind and Fire. And then a friend of mine, Danny Brown, at the time introduced me. He had an amazingly large record collection, and he had Graham Central Station, Parliament, Commodores, and I was hooked. And then a mentor of mine, this is what happened. I'll do this really quickly. This is almost like a Joe Jackson moment. Danny and I are at his house, listening to the records. Danny takes out his older brother's bass for me to play. His brother's name is Glenn Browning. Glenn comes home extra early and catches us. Curses out Danny, and then really asks me what I can do. Now, I'd never really played bass before. I imagined playing it because I played classical guitar. I was a fan of Jermaine Jackson. So I thought that I could just play. I knew nothing about it. He said, improvise something. I didn't know what to do. And then he started showing me what the bass was actually doing. Like, you know, what was playing the top notes, which I thought was probably the guitar. But I saw that bass was doing so much more than I thought. Yeah. And then another popular musician who went to the Jamaica School of Music, as well as I did, older cat, by the name of Mikey Chung, who played with, played with a lot of the Peter Tosh, Burning Spear, and so forth. And he showed me how to slap. And that's how I got into funk. And I never left it. Yeah. And of course, when Lewis came on, and you sit down and you put the record back so you can figure out what he was doing, Yeah. And that's
Lewis was my guy, because since I was a drummer, yeah. I played upright bass first in school, but I didn't really want to play it. But since I was a drummer, I identified, because Lewis slapped like he was playing drums, and that's what I dug about him. Yeah. And then Graham slapped a whole different way. Now my guy Jerry Say, the Wizard, Mother's Finest, he slapped a whole different way. Yeah. He always says his guy was Graham. But when you think about all the great slappers, and then now and then of course Evolution brings you to the Stanley Clarke and Victor Wootens of the world. You're like, holy fuck.
Let me just say one thing in addition to what you asked, Mark. Just because I'm of the culture didn't mean that I could just play funk naturally. I had to learn it. I had to appreciate it. I had to ingest it. It's just not something, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of people here who are not of the culture think that, you can just walk in, play some James Brown licks, and leave, and you're a funker. No. You have to be committed. You have to be one with it. Even although I grew up around reggae, I had to learn how to play reggae. It's not just a matter of just playing tick, check. You have to cut that in half, and then you have to cut that in half till you get tick, tick, tick. And that is the approach that there should be to any kind of music.
No, I know we're winding down, Zach, and everything, but I think that's the mistake that some musicians make, even in what I call message music, because you can't necessarily sing about the gang lifestyle if you haven't actually been part of the gang lifestyle.
Exactly.
There's a lot of folks that are
exactly.
If I can borrow the phrase, they're faking the funk.
And that's the scam. That's how the government got everybody. That's how the devil tricked them. Because the devil says, listen, we're going to throw the image and you just going to make the words, but you ain't never really done this. So, we don't care of the consequences. We know you look pretty and you got like a little hook. It's going to sell. Now, I agree with pure hip hop and rap artists. I know they hate this shit, because I know somebody like Eminem who studied so hard, or Tupac, God rest his soul, or people like, Grandmaster Flash, or EPMD, or Run DMC, or Public Enemy. They took time and understood whatever they was going to put out was going to be effective, and it was going to make people think. And the music that's out there now, it just makes people like be fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? And the few jam bands that are out there, God bless them. But listen, I heard Herbie Hancock and Stanley Clarke before. You ain't really fooling me. I know what you did. You took it and you twisted the shit all up, and then you branded it and rebranded it. Yo, I know what Chicoria sounds like. I know what Herbie sounds like. I lived through the Electric Fusion era. You will not fool me with your licks. So don't try to tell me it's new. Have enough respect for Al DiMilliola to say, listen, I'm playing Al DiMilliola style. Have enough respect for, Stanley Clarke or Chicoria or Herbie and say, listen, we're copying that style. And we're just going to market it, and because we got the pretty face.
It's like, just tell us where you got it from. We'll go with you. Just tell us where you got it from.
Be honest. Don't fake it. Just be honest.
Yeah, they don't want to tell you that they're getting, you mentioned a couple, they don't want to tell you they're getting licks from Hubert Laws or even Gil Scott-Heron. Yes. Or I know one that Shin will definitely relate to. They're getting licks from Tito Puentes and Bob Marley.
Listen, these guys are my Mozarts and Bachs and Bartoks, and they have just as much importance, and I have to give it up to them. I would rather know, and I'm coming from somewhere of that genius, of that, I'm proud that these guys are my heroes. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to stand around and say, I came up with it. I never heard the Beatles before. No, I never heard such and such before. You know, it's got to be transparent, man.
I think, and I think that will help keep the funk alive too, because then people will be like, oh well, do some research. And then
Yeah.
you dig deep, do some research. Then you'll find out, oh, well, what I'm really playing, it ain't nothing new. I saw it on YouTube and now I'm playing it, but somebody actually invented this, James
Yeah.
Jamerson. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And the people that have respect and put that stuff out there on YouTube, God bless you, because at least you're trying to tell people the truth. I watched something the other day on Jaco, one of my favorite bass players. I can't play a lick of his shit, but
Right.
the guy broke it down and showed just how. Wait, but that guy was a genius, and he died on a bench.
I know. Isn't some
Poor, on a bench, homeless. Now, how is this possible? One of the greatest bass players ever that's on the Mount Rushmore. How does he go from there? And this is in what, the 80s, 70s, 80s, whatever.
he
You know
got
what I'm saying?
beaten up. He got beaten up by security. And that's what killed
because
him,
he was bipolar and he would act a certain way, and people didn't realize that, so they thought he was going off. He really just had a condition.
Hey, Zach, I know
Exactly.
we're winding down, but one of the things that happens, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox now, is that too often there are organizations that are trying to help the musicians and trying to get folks to give aid to the musicians, but a lot of times they are only giving them pennies and everything when they are actually taking a lot of the money. Because I know that even in the blues space, there are some organizations that are quote unquote trying to provide housing and trying to provide some money to help people on their day-to-day grind. But when I've talked to some of those musicians, they are getting pennies, and some of the organizers are getting dollars and tens of dollars in that space. So that is a injustice, and I'm sure that you've run across that as well, Shindig and everything. I'm sure you run that in New York and other places.
Oh yeah, I was enthusiastic when I joined CD Baby and everything. I'm thinking, okay, some money's going to be coming in, but it took me a lot of years to realize the whole scam of that half a cent or whatever crap they're putting forth. But I kind of think to myself, the movement is what is important. We need to keep going, because even Black people collectively, we have a lot of people have not lived to see the successes that we've had today. But we keep fighting and we keep going. And you and I, with the three of us, may not see certain developments when it comes to funk, but we keep it moving. Somebody will find a way. We just got to keep it alive. We do what we can, and we stay true to ourselves, and somebody will pick up on it. But we just have to remember that we are a culture that our forte is fighting those who try to keep us down.
Pretty much. That's why we're down here.
That's our forte. When people say, well, Black people are racist too, I'm like, no, we're not, because we suck at it. It's not what we do best. We can't do it. We're going to be second best, third best, 50th best. We will never be better than the people who brought it to the table. On our best day, we can't affect anybody. We just can't. We suck at it. That's just my thing. We suck at it. We don't affect anybody. We don't affect real estate. We don't affect lives. We don't. We can try to be, but we suck.
Yeah, and the big
Our forte is being great lawyers, great civil rights leaders, great doctors, great whatever. We don't know anything about racism. It's not in us. You understand what I'm saying? It's just, even some of the best Black Republicans who are racist against their old culture because they're doing the job of the good old boys, they suck. They'll never be as good as Lindsey Graham. They'll never be good as Mitch McConnell. They'll never be good as David Duke.
Which is why Tim Scott will never be president, because he tried to put his name into the race, but he's not going to be president.
He sucks.
Who is that?
About him.
Tim Scott, the Republican from South Carolina. He's trying to put his name. He's got an exploratory committee that's actually looking at him being the president. So he's actually looking at that, but he's the senator.
This whole political climate that's coming up, we're going to have some shows about that. But I can't even fathom what the fuck is going to happen.
We should be happy that we suck at racism.
Pretty much.
We suck. We suck at it. We're not good at it. So that whole statement of Blacks can be racist too, no. because simply
We're
we suck
racist.
at it.
We're racist within our own culture to each other. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying?
We suck right across the board. It's just we there's nothing that we've done where racism is concerned where we've been successful. Now, have we fought for civil rights? Have we changed laws? Have we brought people to justice? Have we elevated teams and broken barriers and become the president? That's what we do.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what we do.
Haven't we become too busy? And this goes to another hour conversation.
No, go ahead.
Haven't we been too busy being crabs in the barrel? I know that sometimes when I talk to Zach, that's what we talk about. Is there too many folks
that is true.
enjoying
But you know
seeing the folks pulling people down versus helping lift them up and everything. So that's,
but you know something, we'll work that out. If we can't work it out, another generation will work it out. If that generation does it, we have always seen things a bit more clearly as the decades or centuries have gone on. So whatever we're not able to achieve, trust me, our kids will do it.
I love that optimism because we need that. We need optimism.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that we keep the books in print and we don't let these guys burn our books and get rid of our history.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. And that's a whole nother subject. But we've been hanging out with Shindig today. You guys on the chat have been great. Shout out to Susan Coonan from California. We did shout out Victor Taylor. We got to get you guys on the show so we can talk about some health stuff. Mark, you've been a great producer. Thank you. I want you guys to know, Mark. Our 3-year anniversary is coming up, as Mark so elegantly put Christie's thing on their 2-year anniversary. But it's a 3-year anniversary coming up. So if you want to send in an anniversary shout out to Funk from the Front Seat and just say congratulations, whatever, please send it to my Facebook Messenger page, Zach Robinson, because I'll play them all. I love them, and I truly can't believe Mark and I have been looking at each other's ugly faces for 3 years. So that's an amazing feat unto itself. I don't fucking know how the fuck that happened, but it did. Mark, I've been seeing the beard. You've been seeing this ugly puss. You've been seeing me come on bitching and moaning about shit. 3 years in May.
In a row, but I'm down for another 3 years if we can pull it
I'm
off.
down too, but you know what? I'm gonna have to make my thing over here like animated because I'm tired, bro. You know, I'm gonna have to do what they call it, the meta. I'm gonna do the meta thing. But anyway, Shin, I'm gonna give you the last word.
Yes,
Mark,
sir.
thank you. I'm gonna drop you up. Let's get ready to close out. We give my man the last word. I'm gonna jump out and.
Hi, everybody. I don't think there's anything that I can say that is final because we just keep going. To use the popular phrase, keep it 100. I'm thankful to Mr. Zach Robinson for having me, to giving a platform to speak out, speak with, to showcase music, to share music, and to know that we are in the same company and that the unification of our beliefs will send us forward. I hope for more platforms like this. I hope to be on this show again, and I hope that I can always come with something that just helps to push us forward, that contributes and instead of taking away. I'm thankful to all the people that have ever helped me with in my endeavors. It means so much. And I'll see you again at some point, and I hope to be playing live at some point, because you can record all day, but there's just a need for the live music. So stay true, stay dignified, protect your integrity, build your character, and just know that whatever we're not able to achieve, our kids and followers will. Peace.
Yo, man, I couldn't have said it much better myself. So we're going to get out of here. Remember, dig deep, and we promise
to be good to your ear hole.
I'm going to give you what you give for.
Massachusetts, Philadelphia, Detroit, Minneapolis, Long Island, Queens, Bayshore, Delaware, are you aware? DC, Maryland, be more. Put them together. Ohio, Brenda, Boothby, put them together. All around the world, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Louisiana. Let's get free. Funk from the front seat. You damn right. I love you, boo. The real funk. You feel me? Carolina, California, Nevada, Utah, Chicago. Put your hands together. Canada, Dubai, Oaktown, Oakland, what up? LA, what up? Hawaii, Samoan, you in the humpty hump. Tokyo, Anyang Haseyo, Japan, Germany, Ukraine, we got you. Russia, come on now. Oh yeah, my Knicks in the playoffs. Go New York. Come on now. Woo! Our guest today, Shindig was in the house, though. Check out his new song, Na 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 Na. All around the world, Ireland, Australia, Germany, Italy, Sweden. Put them together, y'all. Funk from the front seat is the point. I want you guys to go out today and have a beautiful day. Spread peace and love and harmony. And remember, if it ain't funky, don't funk with it. Funk, not fight. Funk from the front seat. United we stand. Our guest today, Shindig, was in the house, man. Love this brother. He's going to be back. Part 2 of this interview very, very soon. And he's going to be bringing some more Funketeers with him. So y'all
Yes,
just
sir.
keep that in mind. Y'all know the deal. Y'all know what time it is. Funk from the front seat, 9 on the Grind TV, every Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And at the end of the month, I got some beautiful young kids coming on, and they're going to come on and talk a little bit about some gaming stuff. In May is our anniversary. We're going to try to do some different things and switch it up with some guest hosts. So, stay tuned, and we're going to try to hang in there as long as we can. We're in year 3, so that's beautiful. I'll see y'all next time. So let's ride out, Mark. Let's get out of here. Mark flew the coop on me. But
It did.
He did. But you know what? This is why when you're the pilot, you also have control of the ship. So I'll see y'all next time. Dig, I'll see you up, brother.
All right,
Peace
brother.
out.
Thank you so much. Peace.